Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry, and it's Speakers Magazine show. And I'm so excited because we're going to talk about confidence. We're going to talk with someone who knows about confidence, speaks on confidence all over the country. And Meshell Baker, going to bring her up, and she's going to give you a little bit about the fire. I've never met her in person, but I liked on LinkedIn that she's got these fire emojis right next to her name. So if you're a speaker, you need to listen to this show and learn how to get this confidence because she gets booked all the time. So I'm going to tell a little bit about our story, about Speakers Magazine, and I'm going to bring up Meshell Baker right after this.
This July, we joyfully celebrate 7 years of amplifying voices with Speakers Magazine since its inception in 2017 by the visionary Dr. Pam Perry. This pioneering platform has consistently elevated Black Americans, connecting them with meeting planners and organizations worldwide. Every voice has the power to be inspired by change. Our mission is to ensure these voices are not just heard, but sought after. Dr. Perry's mission was clear: to create a movement, not just a magazine, recognizing the need for a dedicated space where Black American speakers could shine. She aimed to bridge gaps in representation and ensure that often marginalized voices are heard loud and clear. The magazine's inaugural cover featured Dr. George C. Frazier, a titan in business networking and economic development, who has dedicated his life to uplifting Black businesses and communities. This set the tone for what Speakers Magazine would embody: a platform for influential voices, leading by example and making significant impacts. Over the past 7 years, Speakers Magazine has featured over 80 remarkable individuals on its covers, each bringing unique perspectives and transformative insights to audiences globally. These cover stories are testaments to the resilience, brilliance, and enduring spirits of leaders, innovators, and changemakers within the Black American community. Notable additions include Stephanie Mills, the legendary singer, actress whose transition from the stage to advocacy has spurred social action, and Kim Coles, whose messages of self-love and acceptance resonate deeply. Ed Gordon, a respected journalist, provided profound insights into the craft of storytelling through journalism. Speakers Magazine is not just about covers. It's about the stories within. These stories offer readers a glimpse into the journeys of extraordinary individuals, their challenges, triumphs, and the impact they're making in their fields. Each edition is filled with valuable content that helps speakers hone their craft, from public speaking tips to personal branding and digital marketing insights. As Speakers Magazine steps into its 8th year, Dr. Pam Perry's vision continues to expand. The publication remains an invaluable resource for meeting planners seeking speakers who are leaders in their fields and committed to making a difference. Here's to more years of impactful storytelling, transformative conversations, and a continued commitment to elevating voices that have the power to change the world. Happy anniversary, Speakers Magazine. Keep speaking, keep inspiring. Visit speakersmagazine.com to learn more and join the celebration.
Hey there. So indulge me. I know it was a bit long, but it has been 7 years going on 8. Okay. So Speakers Magazine, we had a lot of covers. So there's nothing worse than leaving out someone's cover. So we had all the covers covered in that one thing. So let me tell you a little bit about Meshell before we kind of get started and why I really just feel like we should have had her. So Meshell, she offers keynotes and workshops and coaching and retreats for business owners, business leaders, sales leaders on topics such as confidence, imposter syndrome, and leadership. Her clients have repeatable success that really helps them have foster change in the behavior, high performance resilience, success habits, resulting in productivity and sustainability and profitability. So that's one of the things I want people to understand, that it's not just out here talking to be talking, but she is actually solving problems. Leadership coaching, sales, a lot of the things that she serves. She's worked with UPS, she's worked with Salesforce, Dell, Microsoft, Johnson and Johnson. You've heard a lot of these women in trucking. That's an interesting one. So tell us about that one. Welcome, Meshell.
Hey, Dr. Fan Perry, thank you so much for having me. I'm so
You're
excited to
welcome.
be
You're
here.
welcome.
Yes.
Oh my God. So women in trucking. Okay. So you have had a really illustrious speaking career. And one of the things that you seem to really bring is confidence for people and the positivity. Obviously, that's probably part of who you are. But talk about how a speaker can help people, quote unquote, motivate them or get them to realize that there is some issues that they have, and then bringing in someone like you as a speaker, how that solves a problem and how you've been able to sustain getting large clients. Because what you're doing, let me tell you, is what every speaker wants to do, right? They really want to do that. It looks easy from the stage, like I
Oh,
can do what she does. So give us a little bit of the insight of the secret sauce about how you came in. Was it always this easy for you to
oh,
get
of
those clients, Johnson and
course
Johnson
not.
and
Yeah, like
Microsoft?
so as you know, it's never that easy. One of the things that I learned early on was to deliver excellence. So one of the things
Mhm.
I tell people, excellence and abundance can they always meet up,
Yeah.
right? So mediocrity and abundance, said another way, mediocrity and abundance, they will never cross paths. They wouldn't know each other on the street, right?
Mhm.
And what people tend to do is when they speak without payment or when they speak to a certain level of client, they deliver less. They believe that getting those clients is where they get to be the bomb.com. And instead, what I learn and what I teach people and explain to people is you are to be the bomb.com no matter who your audience is.
Mhm. That's true.
And if you want to get on the larger stages, you must deliver in front of whoever you are as you would if you were on the larger stage.
Yes, yes, that is so true. I mean, I find that a lot of speakers, if they say, "Oh, I didn't really prepare anything. I'm speaking I'm waving my feet and I'm just, doing this, you know, for these people. It's a small, you never know who is sitting in that audience." And so when you say that you give excellence and really that's where abundance comes, it's like no matter who, if you're talking to 2 or 2,000, you're going to bring it. And so the topics that you'd like to speak on, leadership, confidence, imposter syndrome, we can get into
Yes.
that a little bit. Why do you think that is like a popular topic that people are bringing you in to speak on? What is it that is the main problem that you're solving when they say, "Hey, we're going to bring in Meshell Baker. She's going to talk to our executives about, I don't know, imposter syndrome or how to have more confidence"? What is that problem that you're solving when you speak?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So the challenge that people are often experiencing is they're having a workforce or leadership that's not engaged. That
Mhm.
is, they're voicing the problem. They have the resources. So, for example, when I'm working with UPS, they have a lot of resources. They have an employee program that is absolutely incredible. What they offer, you can get a degree there. They pay for undergraduates and masters.
What?
And you come out of pocket less than 5 figures working
Wow.
at UPS. That's how much they support you.
Mhm.
How do they get the people engaged into these programs? Is so there's a disconnect in many organizations is that I have the programming, I have the opportunity for the employee to invest in themselves. However, I can't get them motivated or engaged in why.
Mm.
And so where I am is I'm that gap in the middle where I can communicate. A lot of times it's like the teenager. The teenager tends to listen to the aunt or the uncle before they listen to the parent, even if they're
That's
saying the
true.
same exact thing.
That's
Right?
true.
For some reason, they listen to people outside of the house more than they listen to their parents.
That's
So
true.
that's who I become, right? I
Hmm.
become the aunt
Hmm.
or the uncle for the company to say in a manner that their employees can understand why it benefits them. You're not doing it for the company. why you're doing it for you. And clearly, with storytelling, analogies, engaging activities, to help them see how it benefits them to invest in themselves.
I like that. So one of the things that I'm hearing is that you sit down with the client
Oh, God,
ahead
yeah.
of time, and you really kind of try to figure out like what is going on, what is it that you have to offer, and you really you morph into them, so that you're like, I'm the client, I'm part of your team, and now you're part of their team. You understand what their problem is, and now you go and then you become Meshell, because now Meshell is that person outside of the company, not in the company, but you know enough about the company to really now address the problem. So I get it. That is, and I think what happens sometimes is clients will realize that they'll bring you in, and then you'll say, some speakers, they'll say, well, here are some of my topics that I speak on, and they have their signature speeches that they give, and then they say, well, pick one from this menu, and it may not fit that spot.
Never,
So
never.
so every time you speak, you're giving a customized
Oh, it's tailored.
program. Yes.
It's tailored to that client, to those experiences. I'm drilling them. Like, why do you believe this is going to help them?
Yes.
Give me an example of what you're hearing. Right. I want as much information as possible. So when I'm on that stage, I'm literally connected. So people call it the higher power, you call it God, universe, divine, Buddha, Allah, the source. I don't care what I prepare beforehand. I will always get a download in the midst of a presentation. Right. I will always get something to say that I was not in the preparation.
Right.
And that's the live stream. So that's what I believe. When you're truly being present to give that audience a gift, you will be a conduit.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's the difference between getting up there, giving a memorized talk versus actually being a conduit. It's kind of like what pastors do. Right. And that's one of the things that I've heard so many times, that it was like I was in church, but I didn't hear no scripture. And that's what I ask God to be able to be, as someone who does what I do, that I would ignite, that I would literally leave people touched, that I would be able to speak so everyone in that room will be touched in a different way, in the way they needed to be touched.
So where does your confidence come from?
Thank you. And I need to back up, because I want people to know I was not always like this. I literally was raised by good, well-meaning Southern Baptist people who taught me to be not seen and not heard. Right? They didn't want to hear you, and they didn't want to see you. Right?
Right.
I'm tired. I just worked all day. Stop making all that noise. Right? That was kind of how I was raised. And you asked too many questions, so the why and the curiosity were suppressed. Right? Everything felt like it was bothering them. So what I learned as an adult was to be a people pleaser, to be quiet, and just, because that would make people happy. And it took me becoming an entrepreneur to learn to take care of myself, because your business only grows to the level you grow. So whatever baggage I had been dragging with me through corporate, it flared up like 10, 100 times as soon as I became an entrepreneur. Because you cannot carry that with you as a business, as running your own business, doing your own hustle. Anything that, you people think, oh, I don't like my job, I'm going to start a business. I promise you, whatever you had a problem with, it's going to multiply by minimally 10 once you start a business.
That is so true.
Learning to follow, so I believe that I was called to this. I literally heard a speaker give a talk on vision versus goals at a juncture in my life where I was questioning why I had all this success and I was not happy. And it was because I was chasing the external accolades, the acquisitions. I was achieving all these things externally. I had nothing inside, though. And so I wrote a vision and my vision tapped into who I had wanted to always be when I was a young girl. So I went back to all of that, and I started following that. And that's where my confidence is that I know God gave this to me. So he is not a person. See, all y'all is flesh and blood mortals. So you don't get to stop me. The only person that can stop Meshell is Meshell. That's where my confidence comes from. And that's what I teach people. You must curate it from inside of you, because, and then once you curate it, it's like a baby. You have to nurture it and grow it, feed it, forge it. And all of that forging happens under pain, disappointment, setbacks, people not keeping their word. That's how you forge your faith. Your faith isn't forged when you're sitting there at the barbecue sucking on a rib trying to figure out who made the potato salad. That's not where faith grows. Faith grows under fire.
It does. And that's why you have those fire emojis. That's probably part of it, igniting people
Exactly.
and then knowing that it's under the fire.
And that's where the confidence comes from, is that I've been through, as the saying goes, I've been to hell and back so many times, I got frequent flyer miles.
I never heard that. Oh my God. But one of the things that I will say, that being an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur for 24 years, Speakers Magazine is 7 years, and it has not been easy, but I always tell anyone that if you want a good personal development program, become an entrepreneur. That is the best personal development program you can ever be in. It will stretch everything for you. It will stretch everything. I mean, even if you go into, I don't care, laying bricks, you still have to sell. You still have to you still have to deal with people. You still have to, people who say things that, okay, well, I'm going to pay for your bricks, and then they don't pay for the bricks. It's like, okay, well, what, and it is a personal. I heard Lovey say this the other day about she was talking to the girl who's over Black therapy for Black girls, and she was saying she had no idea becoming an entrepreneur would be that she would require this much therapy. She said every entrepreneur should have therapy, and in between having therapy and being its own personal development program, those are the things that people don't understand. And so when you are a speaker and you have this confidence, it's a rejection that immediately you've got to have tough skin. You can't be an imposter, because when you are speaking live in front of someone, if they don't like you, they can fall asleep, they can walk out, they can roll their eyes while you're talking. I mean, it's almost like, I guess maybe the worst type of speaker I probably would say would be a comedian trying to say a joke and then no one laughs. But a speaker, if they're bringing you in to pay you, it's like, well, I'm just trying to impart learning. But it's not entertaining, but you do have to be entertaining. But your confidence level has to be there. And so stepping into that phase, a speaker can know what it is that they can teach or impart, but having the confidence to do it and to sell your speaking is a whole nother realm. So how long have you been an entrepreneur?
10 years. So I started 10 years ago, and I would say, I really became truly vested probably like 3 years ago, if I'm going to be honest, right? I've always been good at what I've done. I've done enough, and I always found, right? So I was more of a missionary, so to speak. And I never worried. Everything always taken care of, where always. So I just would say in the last 3 years, I relocated to help my family, to be closer to family, my older parents. And it just really, once you get, close to family, it brings up things, right? That's all I'm gonna say. It brought up things, right? And so, and I recognized at that point, do I want to keep doing this, or do I want to, go back to work? And I came to the realization that I can't, and I shouldn't say can't. Yeah, I don't want to leave this earth without having been obedient to what I know I've been given to do. And just trusting that it will work. So with that, I started looking at things differently, right? I spent quiet time, that be still, right? Be still and know that I am God, being still and quiet. And then I started recognizing that I needed to make some different choices to get different results. So looked at different coaches, changed the communities of people where I was around, started getting very clear on, there was a lot of complaining in the entrepreneurial world that was being filtered through me, and to stop participating in venues and places where there was desperation and frustration. Right. And that has changed so much. and the levity of which I can deal with almost anything that crosses my path or my desk has truly, truly changed. And the fact that I can see the clarity of the vision of the business, of the team that I'm building, of, you know, the different things that he's placed on my heart more than I've ever since I've started.
Wow.
It's clear now. And that's, again, you said the self-development. It was that decision. And I know everything happens for me. So the biggest transformation in this journey is to recognize that nobody does anything to Meshell without Meshell's permission.
Mm-hmm. That
And
is it.
that's what most adults don't get. They're like, they love to talk about what happened to them. No, no, no.
Yeah. You don't have to stay the victim.
Right.
That's one of the
Happened,
things.
and you
Yeah.
decided to interpret it in a manner that made you a victim. It did not happen to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's, and we don't have enough confidence. And that's what creates confidence, is when you're able to insulate yourself
I like
from
that.
circumstances and allow yourself to interpret them in a way that serves you.
I like the way of confidence method.
Yes.
So that is one of the things I put it on the screen here. Include immersive experience plus influence and collaborative communication training plus practical coaching and integration. And that equals a consistent performance and sustainable growth.
Yep.
That is your formula. That is your trademark formula, the way of confidence. And really that is your secret sauce. It took a while for, like you said, for it to be over a period of time, but within the last few years it's just really mushroomed. What is the biggest, I guess you would say, pivotal or the aha moment, like, oh wow, this is it? When was it? Did you see something in the audience, or was it the client that said something that always brought you back? What was the point where, if we're looking at speakers, like it's like, when is this really going to hit? When is this really gelling? Is this really real? When does it become like really real? Like, this is my thing.
Oh my God, I'm trying to think of a pivotal moment. I think pre-COVID was one pivotal moment I can remember. I was speaking in London. And
Mm,
so being at an international conference with women, there were men there, but it was an international women's conference, and having them say exactly what was said to me in the States, right? And then just having like almost like, you know, as I would walk through the room, like through the lobby, right after speak, because I had a couple of different slots that, you know, and I was with some people who are also came from the States, and they were just like, it was like, they were like, how do all these people know you? Like, you've been here the same amount of time as me. Why are people shouting your name across the lobby? Like,
because
why are
of the
people running up to you like a rock star, right? That was one of those moments where I knew that God had given me something special, right?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
it didn't phase me like, oh, I'm something. I was excited that I had done something to impact that person.
Yes,
That
that's
was what was exciting me. It wasn't about me. It was about that I had given them what I was supposed to give them. That's why they were responding that way.
the impact. That is one of
That's
the
when it
things
started to
too.
go, like when I really understood that I had shifted from trying to be like famous or known to truly shifting into the gifting.
Mhm, mhm. Is it, something, do you use speakers bureaus at all, or what do you find has been like the best marketing tool that you have used, besides, giving good presentations and excellent presentations? What has been the best, uh, marketing tool that you've used?
Right now, the greatest marketing tool is picking up the phone and calling a prior client.
There you go.
I'm telling you,
I'm
and
so
Michelle,
glad you said that, Michelle.
it never
I
gets easy. It never, because you in your mind, your ego wants to go, why do I have to do this? Because
Mhm.
you do, right?
Yes, yes.
Because you do. It
That
never
is,
gets easier.
I'm
So
so
blocking
glad.
time, setting accountability, and knowing that I make this many calls every day, right? It's 2 or 3 calls a day. You make the calls first thing in the morning and you're done. And
Yeah,
then the rest of it's follow up and all that stuff, right?
yeah.
So having a locked amount of time for what I call lead
Pros
generation or business development.
prospecting. Mhm.
Every single day you're planting your seeds, and see, God's going to take care of the harvest. You will
Yeah.
always have a harvest if you do your part.
Right, but you do have to plant the seeds.
You do that.
That's the part. That's the part. That part. I'm so glad you said that. That part right there is what I think a lot of speakers don't do. They think that there's a magic wand out there that will just say,
Just
hey,
tell them Ronald Ron,
let's
y'all.
just wave the wand and, let's get in the magazine. Let's get on TV. Let's do some Facebook posts. Let's run some ads. Let's, what else do they do? Let's get on the speakers bureau. Let me get an agent. But no, it is you that have to make the calls. And all that stuff is nice and it's fine. And you do need to be found at Google and you do need to have a nice LinkedIn profile, but
Yes.
you do have to call people,
Yes.
real people, like
It's
real
real.
old, yeah, like old school.
It's
Yeah.
it works. And I tell you, because my background is 18 years of corporate sales. So that's how I started speaking, was doing a lot of working with sales teams and sales kickoffs and those things. And still people ask me, because that's my background, and they will ask me all the time, right? How do you get your speak? I'm like, I call.
Yes.
I call. I pick up and call. It's amazing what happens when you call somebody, because even what happens is you must stay top of mind. We are in a very frenetic, hectic, busy world. And I don't care if you were the best speaker. And I've been told many times I want the best speaker they heard. If at that moment they're making a decision and they heard someone that moved them that week, and I heard me 6 months ago, guess who gets hired?
Right.
The person that they heard.
Yeah.
The emotion is immediate. They remember the most recent emotion.
Yes.
So staying top of mind is how you keep that trigger going, so that next time they're sitting in that committee, you may got an email from you. They might have heard your voicemail. They may have spoke to you. They may have seen you on their timeline. So what you're doing is you're building up a resource of that next time they have the opportunity. You have built up so much in them. They're like, oh my God, I got to have this woman.
Yes.
I got to have this person.
So how did the trucking come about?
Looking for so I was looking for conferences that were in Texas, so I could either drive or, so when you're building, this is my three-peat. Women in trucking, I'll be there again this year, and I'm a three-peat, and they don't have three-peats. I'm a three-peat.
Wow. I mean, it's just a different women in trucking. I was like, they're women in trucking? Okay.
Yeah. So what I did was I looked, and they don't pay their speakers, but I looked at who their sponsors were. Volvo, Daimler, UPS, Pitney Bowes, right? Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I need to be there, right? Yeah. And it's all these people at this level who are hiring. And so I applied, I got selected, and standing room only. So the first year I was there, they literally had someone come close the doors, because that was how many people were there. And when they got the feedback, I was like on top of feedback. Right. So the next year, which was last year, they gave me 2 breakouts, standing room only. And because I was at the whole conference, that the second time, the first time I only went to do my talk. Last year, I made certain I was at the whole conference. I did day one. So day 2, I'm walking around and everybody's like, again, Meshell, like people are like, you got, and then again, the room was standing room only. So I made certain to follow up with them, because I used the Talkadot tool.
I love it.
I was able to use the Talkadot tool. I sent it to them, the feedback, and they were just like, and I just stayed on top of them. I just and they were like, we don't normally. And then I did a webinar for them, and normally they have about 125 register. They had 355 people register for my webinar. And I said, look, when I did the webinar, they didn't pay. I said, I want a spot at the conference. That's why. Right. So again, as a speaker, stop what I tell people, instead of thinking free, think value exchange. What can they get? Can they give you a rep? Can they write you a recommendation? Can they refer you to someone? That's why you deliver excellence every time you speak, because you're exchanging value. So when I deliver excellence, they never have a problem exchanging the value. They never have a problem. And now, is 100%, do they always do what they say they're going to do, write the recommendations and make the referrals? No, it's like any business lead. They don't all pan out. However, the majority of them do, and that's how you stay in business.
I love it. And I love your Talkadot too. So that was one of the things when you sent me, I think, a link, or the Talkadot was at the end of your email signature. And I went to and you had like 5 stars and this and that and all the comments. And I was like, so I've had Ariel Moody on this. He owns Talkadot, and we use Talkadot a lot. Speakers Magazine, Bitly Speakers Mag, Talkadot. I always recommend that to them. I recommend it again to the Ready, Set, Go Speak people. And I sent them your Talkadot, your page, because it was so robust. And I wanted people to actually see just what happens when you have the best form of advertising, and I'm in PR, is really word of mouth. So you had a really, really good one. So I just want to make sure that I told you that it was like on
Oh,
jam.
thank you.
I was like, okay. I said, she got this thing working. And so I want people to know where they can actually go and find you as well. Meshell, is it Misha or Michelle? How do
It's
you pronounce?
Meshell. I tell people if you sing it, you'll never get it wrong. Meshell.
Meshell, yes, Meshell. That's what I say. It's a Meshell. So MeshellBaker.com, and they can go there. You can see her talk about, and they can just book you. They can just learn from you. They basically can also know a little bit more about some of the other topics. Obviously, you talk more than just confidence. You talk some other things as well. But that is that's like your signature one on
Yes.
confidence, and that because that's your method. You have the method that you talk about that. So thank you so much for joining Speakers Magazine. We got to get you in the magazine too. We're going into year 8, so we got all of 2025 that we are booking our covers for. So we should probably have a conversation about that as well,
Okay.
because we're really kind of selective about who we have on the cover, but it really ties into what do you have going on next year. Sometimes you have an event that you're doing or a book that you're birthing. So those are kind of the things where it's a good time to be on the cover.
Okay.
As a publicist, that's what I do. It's like, okay, we got to get this strategy together. You just can't just be everywhere. You got to have a strategy. So thank
Yes.
you so much for joining us. And I love your background too with the balloons. It's very festive.
Yes,
So
yes. I'm out. Celebrate every moment. Every moment. People are like waiting. They're waiting to give celebration. They're waiting for gratitude. They're waiting to acknowledge people. What are you waiting for?
do it now.
Celebrate. Because you become the conduit. You giving means that it's in you first before the other person ever gets it. And that's what attracts the bumper crop harvest, people.
It is. It is. Well, Meshell Baker, thank you so much for joining us today. We were streaming on Facebook and
Yay!
Speakers Magazine page, LinkedIn, and on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I will talk with you soon. God bless.
Yes, thank you. Have
Take
a
care.
blessed evening.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. And ReadySetGoSpeak.com. You can go there and be a part of our quick media coverage, because when you join that, you get quick media coverage. So I thank you for joining us.